Students and their parents are facing mounting challenges when preparing for higher education. The cost of college is the highest in the history of our country, and many young people find they can't get a job even when they graduate with a bachelor's degree. There's also discussion in Washington about changes to student loan debt. It's enough to make your head spin. Joining me today with some guidance for high school students and their parents, the folks from College Liftoff, Aaron Green and Gina Jacob. Welcome to both of you. This is the perfect time, Gina, to discuss this because we know in the summer, some families are taking trips to look at college campuses during the summer months. And how can College Liftoff help both parents and the student prepare for what's coming up?
Well, it's an exciting time of year for us because we're gearing up for the fall. So we have a new team of juniors that we're working with, and we take on more families as the fall, moves on. And then our seniors are getting ready for, obviously, their exciting senior year, but they have some final activities when it comes to completing applications. So we have a different level of support that we give those families. Some have put a lot of work in, and some are just beginning. So getting them started is an important journey for us.
And Aaron, I'm sure as a junior, there are some families that think, gosh, isn't this too early to start? In some respects, it's not. In other respects, it seems, how do you interest that junior when they're really in the midst of high school having a great time? That you kind of have to get serious now.
Yeah, it really is a good time to get started right at the beginning of your junior year for a couple of factors. One, to really get the student engaged career-wise, academically, looking at what their interests are, because it takes a while to really be able to draw that out of a student to see where it is that they really are most interested. That leads the whole discussion into what schools are really going to be the most applicable for the student. So when we're looking at the proper schools, we have to make sure that we're basing it off of what are the students' interests and what are the schools really good in as far as disciplines in order to make that match. So starting that process as early as possible to give enough breathing room to the student to allow them to sort of explore multiple different diverse career paths that they weren't aware of. That they should be considering is really an important factor, but also looking at the financial aspect of it, planning as early as we can in order to make sure that all necessities are being met, that we're looking at universities with the most amount of money to offer, but putting together a good budget and a good financial plan for going off to school is probably the most paramount thing for the family and for the student.
Okay, but we're talking junior year here, Gina. Isn't it a little late in the game to start that saving process when in a year you're going to be sending your child off to school?
Well, if you're just starting to save when your child is in high school, you have some barriers.
You got some catching up to do.
Yeah.
And so that's why we always want a financial advisor to be in the mix to help them, and even a tax accountant to help them understand how their assets and their income should be handled and where it should be. Stuff we don't want to get involved with, but we know we need to advise them to get kind of things moving in that direction. But as far as a budget is concerned, we have found way too often these budget conversations aren't happening until acceptance letters are coming at the middle of that student's senior year. And they have their heart set on a school that's going to cost way too much money, and there's heartbreak. Or there's a lot of bad decisions that then happen to just move heaven and earth to get that kid to go to school, and a lot of times it involves debt and taking on way too much debt. And so we want to back that up and say, look, as a family, this is how much the student's going to contribute.
And the student contributes. You are both on game. You think that's a very important part. You're like, yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, we have our own experiences to draw from. I could blindfolded, I could figure out which students were contributing to college and which ones were having the 100% of it paid for by mom and dad.
Well, but before we run out of time, I want to make sure real quick what a senior should do coming this fall. In September, Aaron, where should they start?
Senior, the first step is really, if they haven't started planning yet, the first step is really to start looking at what it is they're interested in, how can we match those schools, the proper schools with that. So developing a list, developing an actual good college list. And that's something we sort of rush into with our seniors, doing a lot of heavy career development, but also merging that with the proper school list immediately. So that way they can get a good tangible feel for what the landscape feels like.
Because it's crunch time, it's decision time.
Yeah.
And you have something coming up where folks can come to see what you offer, Gina. What's your event?
Next Thursday, August 8th at 7 p.m. We're having an open session where we invite to the open public to come and learn more about what we do and how we work work with our families. So everyone is welcome to join us, and they can find more information on our website about it.
And I know you also do things about the application process, how to apply for scholarships. There's so much that you offer and so many questions for parents, so it's a good time for them to visit you.
Oh, yeah, it's a very big topic right now with a lot of pieces to it.
Right.
Just tipping the iceberg is what's happening in Washington, but also what's happening in everybody's family day-to-day life and how they prepare for school, and it's all interrelated.
Yeah, it's that time of year. Erin, Gina, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.